You ever noticed how news of a war breaking out can hit people in completely different ways? I mean, for some, it seems to just roll right off their back, but for others, it's this incredibly heavy personal thing. So why is that? Why the huge difference? Well, that's what we're going to get into today, the psychology behind how we react to conflict.
You know the drill. For some folks, hearing about war is just another headline you scroll past on your way to the weather report. It's information and then it's gone. But for other people, it's like a gut punch. It's this heavy weight that just sits on their soul. They're haunted by the images, the stories. They just can't wrap their head around how anyone could see glory in all that suffering. It's a really profound disconnect from the world around them.
And here's what's so fascinating. These intense feelings, they're not just random. Psychologists have actually found that people who have this deep hatred of war often fall into one of three distinct profiles, and each one has its own unique way of looking at conflict.
Okay, let's start with type 1, the idealist. This is the person who, on a fundamental level, just cannot accept that war is a normal part of being human. They're the ones always asking, seriously, after everything we've accomplished, we're still solving our problems by blowing each other up?
And this quote right here, it gets to the absolute core of it. It's not just the violence that gets to them. It's the normalization of it. It's the fact that we as a society have kind of just learned to live with it. So when they hear someone say, oh, conflict is just inevitable, it's like their brain short circuits. They just can't accept that something so awful could ever be considered business as usual.
So their whole mindset is built on this principled opposition. They flat out reject the idea that war is just baked into our DNA. And this naturally leads to this deep, constant frustration, right? Because the world they see every day clashes so hard with the world they believe is actually possible. And that's exactly why it drives them crazy to hear people talk about war like it's some kind of strategic board game. All right, let's look at our second profile. This is type 2, the peace seeker. Now, for this person, the reaction isn't really about philosophy. It's immediate, it's emotional, and it's almost physical. They have a visceral, gut-level aversion to conflict.
This really nails it. For the peace seeker, the experience is intensely internal. So news about war, seeing images of destruction, these things don't just register as information. They actually change how they feel, almost instantly. It creates this tension and anxiety that just completely disrupts their inner peace.
Peace seekers are just naturally wired for calm and stability, so the pure chaos of war feels like a direct assault on their system, and when they avoid the news, it's not because they don't care, not at all. It's a defense mechanism. It's self-preservation. They have to put up a shield because the emotional toll is just too high. It hits them that deeply.
And that brings us to our third and final profile, which this one requires a different level of understanding. This is type 3, the witness. This is the person whose perspective wasn't learned from a book or a screen, it was lived.
Man, that is such a powerful distinction. For the witness, war is not some abstract concept you can debate or analyze. It's a memory. It's personal. It's real. It has left a permanent mark on them, their family, their home.
You see, their first-hand experience gives them this unique, painful clarity. They know that just because the fighting stops, that doesn't mean the war is over. Not even close. They've seen how the trauma just echoes through generations, poisoning relationships, shattering trust, and leaving behind this legacy of fear that can last for decades.
Okay, so let's just pull this all together for a second. You've got the idealist, who sees war as a massive moral failure and is just frustrated by our acceptance of it. Then you have the peace seeker, who feels the chaos of war as a personal attack on their inner calm. And finally, you have the witness, for whom war is not a concept at all, but a lived trauma. A memory that's always there. Three totally different profiles, three different reasons for hating war, but all of them coming from a place of deep, deep humanity.
You know, when you start to understand these individual reactions, it gives you a really powerful way to look at war itself. It stops being just a political event and becomes something deeply human. In a lot of ways, war is like a mirror, reflecting both the very best and the absolute worst parts of our nature.
It's so true. From way up high, war can look like this grand chess match, right? It's all about strategy and geopolitics. But as this reminds us, the second you get up close, that game board just vanishes. And all you're left with are the human pieces, real people making impossible choices and living with absolutely devastating consequences.
So, what if we try to redefine war for a minute? What if it's not really about nations or ideologies, but about something much more primal? What if war is just the ultimate, loudest expression of our most basic human drivers?
When you strip everything else away, all the politics, all the justifications, you're left with these three primal forces: the drive for power, the paralysis of fear, and that desperate, raw instinct for survival. Now think about it. The idealist is outraged by the misuse of power. The peace seeker is overwhelmed by the fear. And the witness? They know the brutal reality of the fight for pure survival. It's the same human drama every single time.
So after going through all these different ways of seeing conflict, we're left with a question that's both incredibly simple and profoundly complex. What does war really mean to you? Are you an idealist, a peace seeker, a witness, or maybe, just maybe, a little bit of all three? Because understanding your own reaction might just be the first step to understanding war itself.